Bada bing, bada boo.
You know that very famous saying? It's typically used against Nepo babies. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, Facebook, they want to know exactly who you know. They want to know all of them. Every single person that you might have even just glanced at on the bus, that you walked by in the office hallway. They want to know, and they want you to confirm through a feature that they call People You May Know, which gives you a suggested list of people that, well, you may know. And it's actually one of the lesser known but creepier aspects of the Meta algorithm. There was this alleged incident years ago where you have this psychiatrist and her patients, they all have the psychiatrist's phone number. But perhaps because they all have the psychiatrist's phone number, maybe Meta thought that they're all friends or they're all 1 degree apart from one another. So Meta starts suggesting to all of her patients the other patients as people you may know. Like people that you have run into in the therapist waiting room as people you may know. In another alleged incident, people part of an anonymous addiction group who don't share numbers with one another. They don't share phone numbers. They don't even share each other's names. They start getting people you may know suggestions, and it's just other members of this anonymous, not so anonymous group anymore, which the theory to the psychiatrist incident. Well, they have the psychiatrist number. So maybe if Meta has access to the contacts, they cross-reference and then suggest people you may know, and it's only 1 degree apart from each other. However, with the anonymous addiction group, if this really did happen, they don't know each other's names. They don't have each other's phone numbers, which makes netizens theorize, okay, maybe Meta is tracking users' locations. If you go to the same location once a week and you stay there for 45 minutes with the same phone numbers and the same users that are also at that location, Meta just assumes that you all know one another. Meta claims that they don't do that. But I guess the argument is, Facebook has over 3 billion monthly active users. How do they know which 20 or 160 out of the 3 billion that you may actually know? And even if you do know them, there is the argument of who really cares? I mean, who really cares what anybody is posting on Facebook? It is not that far-fetched to imagine that nobody cares until something happens to you. And if that's the case, suddenly family, friends, people you may know, even strangers on the internet, they're gonna start dissecting everything that you've ever posted on Facebook, such as the situation in Vietnam. June 10th, 2025. A small personal account on Facebook in Vietnam posts a new status update. From today, I'm logging off this account for good. Okay, it's a little mysterious, perhaps even a little melodramatic, and at the risk of sounding cold, unless you're this man's personal friend and you care deeply about him, it's not fascinating enough to warrant a whole global hunt for what happened to this guy, why he's logging off of Facebook. This post in Vietnamese has been translated into various other languages, including English. This Facebook post goes viral because it'll be discovered that when this man posted this on Facebook, he had already been dead. He had been dead for 6 months. We know this because videos have been circulating of his murder online. There is this widely seen photo of this man's killer holding up his severed head to the mirror and taking a selfie. How do you post on Facebook 6 months after your own video recorded murder? Is this post going to help people find the killer? And most importantly, who the hell posted that? We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support children of Vietnam. They're a nonprofit focused on wraparound services for low-income communities. They've provided over 4 million nutritious meals annually. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we would also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. Huge disclaimers for this case. I don't know why I always have to do these disclaimers for any other case that is outside of probably the Western nations. It's always the disclaimer of don't get racist. Like, just because there is one incident or one crime taking place in a country does not deem that country to be dangerous, does not deem that country to be off the travel list for tourists. It's one crazy person, a few crazy people. There are crazy people everywhere. Obviously, evidently, there are a lot in the United States. Another huge disclaimer is this episode is so graphic. There's no way around it. Please watch with extreme caution. In the interest of full disclosure, there are just in-depth descriptions of injuries as well as conversations of some very extreme interests that people have developed that revolve around self-exit. There are also elements of cannibalism. And at any given point during the research of this episode, we thought, okay, surely we have reached the rock bottom. Like, it's not going to get deeper from here. Then it would just progress into more depraved activities, and then it would just progress even more. So I would just be careful. And speaking of research for this case, none of this research would have been possible without a massive online anonymous group of internet detectives. They go by OSINT on Facebook and on Twitter. They have compiled a 100+ page dossier PDF document detailing every aspect of this case. That document was then translated into English, and it is a really well done investigative piece that I think is a pretty exhaustive overview of everything that has transpired thus far. And I would say they may be the only reason that this case got so much attention on a global scale, and perhaps they may be the only reason that there was an arrest made recently.
Oh, arrest was made.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's get into it. July 2025, a collection of 3 videos goes live, and each one of them is intentionally titled. It's a collection of 3 videos, and the collection seems to have, it appears to have been thought out, prepared, uploaded with the intention of being consumed by an audience. It almost feels like a trilogy. Like, it has a sick form of artistic expression embedded into it. You have to start with part 1, then 2, then 3. These are not standalones. When you click on the first video, it's about 3 minutes long. The camera angle is unflattering. It's unique. It's almost on the floor, angled upwards. If you were to prop your phone up behind, like put it on a book on the floor and then prop it upwards, you're looking up. It's very unflattering. No one's gonna look good from that angle. It's very much a homemade video. No edits, no intros, no color grading, no edited music. It's just a grainy phone camera. And it's 2 guys in an office. We don't get introductions. We don't know these people's names. We know nothing about these people. There's filing cabinets that take up 80% of the screen. They're not even lined up. No one thought, hey, before we start the video, let's just make it less crooked. It's completely misaligned. There are 3 depressing plastic houseplants on top of the filing cabinets. The only thing that's in view other than that is this wooden block just near the phone. So I guess it's on the ground. It's like a chopping block. And there are 2 guys standing on opposite sides of the screen. So you have a man on the left and you have a man on the right. On the left, you have a man wearing a blue-collared dress shirt and a pair of trousers. He looks like he came into work. This looks like an office, and he looks like an office worker. The only odd thing about him is the last 2 buttons on his shirt are either broken or just left unbuttoned. It looks a little messy. The shirt itself doesn't fit perfectly, so there is this weird feeling of like, is this guy's shirt? Is this a shirt that he's never worn before? Did he borrow this shirt? He looks maybe in his mid to late 30s, but the shirt is just so ill-fitting it doesn't make sense. He also looks very uncomfortable. On the right, you have a man wearing a dark athletic tracksuit with 3 neon yellow stripes running down the sides. So it looks like an Adidas tracksuit. The most notable thing about him, though, is that he's wearing an anonymous mask. The money heist mask.
Mustache.
Yes. Now, contrary to the other guy, the masked man's body language is very confident. He looks like he's in his element. Like he looks like he's been in this office for a lot longer. The masked man is messing around with some rope, and the office man kneels down right in front of the camera, in front of the wooden block. So he's facing the camera, facing the wooden block. And the masked man walks behind him, fussing with this rope. And it looks like he's tying the rope around the office man's ankles, and the office man is just letting this happen. He's not fighting back. He does look nervous, but he's not saying no, stop. He's not even trying to move away. He's just letting himself get tied up. He doesn't look like this is surprising.
Like no communication, no talking?
Yeah, I mean, at certain points, they do eventually start communicating in Vietnamese. It seems like they're just giving each other instructions. The office man that's getting tied up, he keeps closing his eyes and he keeps swallowing, and he does rub his Adam's apple a lot. At one point, he's just staring into the depths of our souls, into the camera, rubbing his neck. Now, this hand gesture, I was trying to figure out a way to precisely describe to you the feeling of it. It doesn't look like he's nervous in rubbing his neck. It almost looks like something is bothering him about his neck, where he's thinking about his neck in some way. It's not like the anxious, like, oh, I'm so stressed, I need to rub myself and self-soothe. It's like he keeps looking at his neck, extending his neck, touching his neck.
I see.
The masked man finally gets up and starts roughly unbuttoning Office Man's dress shirt from the back. The masked man is fumbling a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it's because he's nervous, but more so he's just got big fingers and maybe he's not used to it. He's unbuttoning the dress shirt. Office Man's interactions and reactions are weird. He glances down and he almost like flinches at the sight of his own body. And then he keeps doing this thing where he closes his eyes and looks away, almost like, oh, I don't want to look, I don't want to look. It's weird. It's really difficult to read the expression on his face. He doesn't look scared. He doesn't look sad. He doesn't look contemplative. But once he's shirtless, he waits for the masked man to tie his arms up behind him. He looks briefly annoyed that it's taking so long. That's the feeling. He looks annoyed at the masked man. Like, why are you taking so long to tie my arms up? And then he just waits. He's closing his eyes. He's squinting down. He's looking at the camera. And then finally, the masked man slowly, gently pushes Office Man's head onto the wooden block, adjusts his head so his cheek is on the wooden block and he's looking at the camera directly at us. Masked man grabs something off screen and it's a giant meat cleaver. He brings it up into the air right above Office Man's neck and slams it down. And stops right before it makes contact. And then right, left, he starts doing a sawing motion, but just in the air, half an inch above Office Man's neck. Then he lifts it up once more and then he brings it back down, stopping again, right before making contact. I don't know if there is like a viewfinder on the camera where Office Man can see what's going on, but he's looking towards the camera lens, almost looking at whoever is watching. He kind of closes one eye like he's winking at us and he's like focusing, but the rest of his face, he doesn't seem to be having a good time. He doesn't look like he's enjoying this. He's just watching with this very contemplative look on his face as masked man over and over and over again just brings the meat cleaver up and then slams it down before making contact. He never touches him with the meat cleaver. He just does it again and again and again until finally the Office Man, still shirtless, he gets up, he's still on his knees, he lifts his head up from the chopping block. The masked man is standing right next to him, and he just leans his head against the masked man's stomach. And the masked man starts comforting him, kind of
just
rubs.
touching his head?
Yeah, kind of rubs his head, almost in like a little hug, and they embrace a little bit. And that's it. This Office Man is embracing the masked man who just 2 milliseconds ago was pretending to chop his head off. And they're kind of caressing each other, but I will say, the way they caress each other does not feel familiar. It doesn't feel like two people who are very knowledgeable about each other's bodies, who have intimately been together. It just feels slightly awkward, which perhaps makes this entire situation even more strange. And then the video ends. That is the very first video in the trilogy. And it is titled Rehearsal. Rehearsal as in when you really want something to be done right, you do a practice beforehand, like a wedding rehearsal. Then what are they practicing for? The second video in the trilogy will be named The Execution. And this time, the meat cleaver will not stop before making contact. There will be no comfort, there will be no caressing because one of the two men will be dead. Which begs the question, this rehearsal video, is the Office Man being forced into filming it? Is this part of some sick murder where the victim has to practice being killed? Like how some people have to dig their own graves before they're killed? Does the masked man get off on this? Or is the victim performing a genuine practice round for his own murder? Have you ever seen something and you thought, okay, that's probably illegal? That's what I thought about most gore websites. I mean, it sure is a lot of things, but apparently illegal is not one of them, unless it crosses into the territories of involving children, terrorism, propaganda, or real life depictions of intentional homicide, like first-degree homicide. Technically, if you have a drunk driver killing someone on the street and you upload that as gore, a lot of that is going to be protected by protected speech. But if you have a knife-wielding man intentionally murdering someone, that is iffy territory.
Huh.
it falls into protected speech, which is why at one point there was this massive subreddit called r/watch people die, where you don't just watch someone die, you watch someone get mauled, crushed, exploded, disemboweled, and then die. And at least 500,000 people were subscribed to this subreddit. They wanted to, watch people die. They wanted to see criminal organizations skin people's faces off. So that was another weird thing. For some reason, just first-degree homicide, where you are in a room with someone, I guess decapitating them, that is considered typically illegal video. But if you were to film a terrorist organization skinning someone's face off, or like a cartel killing someone, that is typically protected speech.
Wait, why is that?
Nothing ever gets done about it. I guess you could argue it's political. I guess you could argue it's news. I don't know. Because you do see a lot of murder, but it's not the interpersonal murder that a lot of people think is the only way to kill someone, like a couple killing each other. It's always some sort of organization.
Right.
People like to see it. I mean, some people like to watch people die in explosions or being slowly crushed by a massive crane, or terrorist attacks from at least 50 different angles are on there. You can see everyone's faces pretty clearly, and it's very graphic. Nothing is censored. And in 2019, the subreddit gets banned. Interestingly, people were upset. They argued that okay, fine, the subreddit is bad. This is their argument. The subreddit is bad, but not as bad as other subreddits that actually radicalize people with hate. Some people say, hey, I was on that subreddit out of morbid curiosity, and I actually think that it helped save lives. Because some people would be on that subreddit and they would be planning some crazy violent things, but they would see violence in real life and not in a video game and not romanticized on movies, and they would see real depictions of violence and decide maybe that's not what they want anymore. Others say, no, I skipped all the terrorist videos. I would just watch the ones involving car accidents or work-related accidents because I'm a blue-collar worker, and I feel like it's a good reminder once in a while to, stay safe, not drink and drive. It just reminds you that you're blessed and you can have deep introspections about life while you watch somebody else get crushed by a cyber truck. That was the argument. I don't know if that argument is sound and valid. Some say it was more like a challenge, see if you can handle it. It's a little strange, but I just want to know if I'm capable of doing it. It does seem like there are levels to people who watch gore. You have the casual gore consumers, which I don't even know if you could call it that. It's probably everybody watching this video, myself included, in the sense of you see something blurred on Reddit, the accompanying post title is something graphic, and for some reason you're like, I really should not click on this, but why is it blurred? And I can see some of the shapes in the blurring, and now I feel like I need to see it. So then you quickly click unblur, and then you regret it for the rest of the week. That is the casual gore consumer. Then you have the more seasoned gore consumer. They're subscribed to subreddits with gore. They will seek out gore. They'll think about it once in a while and they'll go Google it. Then from there, you start getting into very scary waters. People who need gore, who get off on gore, or a lot of the times the gore threshold starts getting elevated. They need more and more to reach whatever point that they're trying to get to, whatever thrilling point of ecstasy that they're trying to reach. These are people that are willing to pay and test the limits of the legal system for their pure consumption of gore. These are the types of people who would willingly join the forensics group. The forensics group is probably the least visually graphic of all of the groups on Telegram. Let me break it down for you. You have the regular group. This is a very famous Chinese Telegram group that Vice News infiltrated. The regular group and the premium access group. The premium access group has been around for 4 to 5 years. So that's the thing with Telegram group chats where you're sharing illegal videos, is that a lot of the times they'll disappear, they'll make a new one, they'll disappear, they'll make a new one. But if you already paid for one and then it disappears a month later, then you're shit out of luck. That money is wasted. Now you got to go pay to join another group. So this premium access group, they brag about the fact that it's been up for 4 to 5 years. So it's very stable. That's how they market it. Stable premium access group. There's no reason to believe that that group will be shut down anytime soon. Then you have the Ice Love group. What's the Ice Love group? Anything related to dumping bodies, body detachments, necrophilia, that's in the Ice Love group.
Why is it called ice?
We don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. But if you want to skip out on all the blood, if you don't like all the gore and you just like dead bodies, the forensics group is where you want to go. It's, quote, pure, clean bodies, mainly mortuary footage. Welcome to an underground snuff film Telegram group in China. This is where the Vietnamese butcher videos start circulating in early 2025. Pay per view in the form of an extensive video package, photo package, 11 separate videos, 98 separate photos that you can either purchase limited access for around $100, or you can get the full package, unlimited access to all 11 videos, 98 photos for $600.
So you mentioned 3 videos. They have more videos that they're posting. I see.
11 videos. It's not until 6 months later that the shortened videos, just 3 of them, start circulating online on a public website called Watch People Die. Not the subreddit, but there's a whole website where you can see things that your brain probably never will be able to forget, and then you'll have random thoughts of the imagery out of nowhere when you're trying to enjoy it like a nice sunny afternoon. That's that website. So they start posting 3 of them. The disclaimer on this website, watchpeopledie.tv, is when you enter, this website is exactly what it says in the name. This is not a pleasant website. The content is tragic things happening to real people with no filters. This is horrific to see and frankly should not be seen by anyone. However, it is legal, and we believe in allowing it to be seen and shared by adults as a result. It goes up, and the 3 videos, the first one being rehearsal we talked about, and the caption along with the videos, the 3, just reads, "Man has his very last before he dies." Then you click on part 2 of the trilogy, arguably the most viral part, the execution. So you have rehearsal, execution, and the 3rd installment is titled The Butchering. Execution, the second video, starts in a bathroom, not the office, but a random bathroom. You start with the opposite angle as the first video. So instead of the phone camera being placed on the ground looking upwards, you have the camera looking downwards, getting a top-down view of this entire bathroom. The bathroom itself is not particularly a Zillow-worthy room. It's just a toilet on one side, a sink on the other side. There are tiled floors that look like they have not been cleaned in a very long time. There is a sheet of plastic tarp laid out, and the office man, it's the same man because he wasn't wearing a mask. We know this guy's face. He is laying on the plastic tarp and on his back, and the similar looking wooden chopping block is now underneath the back of his head. He's using it almost like a pillow.
So this is like a different date?
Looks like a different day. Could be later in the day. It's hard to tell because he's completely unclothed. He has not a single piece of clothing on him. We can't cross-reference with the pants or the dress shirt that he was wearing in the office. He's fully naked, flat on his back, laying down in this bathroom. And this time he doesn't look like he's contemplative or touching his neck or stressed or deep in thought. Instead, he is in the throes of ecstasy. He's like fully aggressively self-pleasuring. And right as he's about to get to where he has been working so diligently to get to, another man, who we can assume to be the masked man from the first video, comes into the frame fully nude as well. He brings up a similar meat cleaver from the first one, except this time the meat cleaver does not just hover over the office man's neck. It doesn't stop. Instead, it comes down with a clean chop at the office man's neck. Now, I don't know if it's the sharpness of the meat cleaver or the way that our bodies are built. The masked man has to make a few more precise, powerful chops before he then just takes it upon himself to fully drag and rip off,
Oh my gosh.
All while there's just like so much blood under the office man on the plastic tarp. It's incredibly graphic. The only saving grace, if there is any to any of this, is that the camera is further away. It's a top-down view, and if you really try to convince yourself, you may or may not be able to successfully convince your brain that this is just another horror movie. This is like a gory horror movie. This is CGI. This is not real blood. It's something else that's happening. But then the video cuts to another angle, and this time it's like a B cam. It's off in the corner, and it's like you're laying next to Office Man. And he's still alive. And it's a full replay, but from a close side-up angle, very close to the office man's face and neck. And you can see every single bit of it in replay. It almost feels slowed down, even when it's not, because of the graphic nature and just how up close things are. And then the camera goes back to the top angle, where you see the masked man that now people have dubbed the Butcher. And he starts dissecting the office man, cutting straight down the center vertically. And he just starts methodically disassembling a human body bit by bit, piece by piece. I mean, body parts are being taken apart like a Lego, just chunk by chunk. Organs are transferred into buckets that are put into like a water bath. Limbs are placed into pots. You can see pictures of small pale body parts arranged on plates with chopsticks resting on the side. There are other pictures showing full-on cooking. The creation of a human soup finished with healthy superfoods like goji berries, red dates. There's another dish that resembles curry. Part 3 is the butchering. It shows more in depth of the disassembly process. The private parts of the victim are arranged on a fresh, clean plate like a Thanksgiving dinner. The centerpiece is the decapitated head. At one point, the victim's private parts are inserted into the victim's head, just along with other general depraved acts. There are some people online who state that they saw a video of the butcher placing the victim's head into a boiling pot of water like a giant meatball. However, that video has not been widely circulated, so at this point it's debatable if it exists, but I don't think that it would be surprising if it did. The way that this victim is meticulously taken apart, and the way that even the execution is carried out, it does not feel like someone's first time, which makes people suspect initially that this butcher is a butcher. That turns out not to be true. So who the hell is this butcher? And who's the office man who is self-pleasuring before death? Who's the victim? What's happening? Is this even real, or is this like a fake video? It would not be the first time that a fake snuff film circulated, tricking the initial set of viewers online when it goes public of thinking that this is a real murder, which would make sense. I mean, considering there was a whole rehearsal video, like you have a table read before a movie filming. Maybe that is their acting before the big act. The collection of videos gets heavily studied by the internet, and they come to the conclusion that no matter how cynical, no matter how skeptical, there is no way that these videos are fake. These videos are very much real. There are all these other details that start getting noticed as people are combing through to even just verify that these videos are real. The minute that people start analyzing the footage for what it is, there are so many things that come up. Firstly, you can hear in the video pretty clear noises of motorcycles passing by, dogs barking, which would suggest that whatever is taking place in this bathroom, this is probably in a relatively busy area. It does not appear to be in the middle of nowhere. Are we to assume then that this is taking place in the middle of a busy residential neighborhood? One comment online reads, "I've watched this video over and over, and when I listen, I could hear the motorcycle was really loud, and it wasn't going slow either. It sounded like it echoed quite a bit. I think this is someone's house." Or maybe this is, I saw someone else online say that this was a restaurant owner and this is a restaurant bathroom, which would make sense because they would have big buckets and basins and iron tables and bowls and chopsticks. So is this happening in a restaurant in a busy city area? So far, the theories are that the butcher is either a real-life butcher or a restaurant owner. A restaurant owner would also make sense because they would be proficient in disassembling chunks of meat. But that means that people are under the impression that this is not the butcher's first time butchering large quantities of meat. Then you have another group of netizens that wonder, what if it's not the butcher's first time butchering humans? What if they're not proficient at butchering large animals, but what if they're just good at butchering humans? If that's the case, how many times have they done this before? And are they the only ones doing this? Like, are there others? One of the more distinguishing physical traits of the butcher, the whole time, a lot of the times he's naked and he's wearing a face mask. So instead of the anonymous full face mask, he's wearing, one of those COVID face masks, a medical mask. And you can see a big part of his body. There is a tattoo on his arm and it reads, "That day, 139.
What does that mean? Do we know?
Is that just a random number? Is that some sort of initiation? Is that some sort of code? Perhaps that's the day that he's initiated into this line of work, when this life begins for him. Some say it's shorthand for 13K, which 13K somehow relates to the price of butchered pigs on Vietnamese social media. So perhaps he is a real-life pig farmer, pig butcher. Others say this could be an identifying number for his videos. If this video has been circulating on Telegram group chats and there's an organization of people who kill people and create snuff film video content, how do you know who's the killer in each one? Because they need to get paid. So this tattoo, 139, maybe he's killer 139, 139. Because this could just be a giant snuff film ring that the internet just uncovered. There is something so exciting about January, that spark of ambition that you have been carrying for months and maybe years, that business idea that keeps you up at night and you're like, oh, this is such a good idea, but someone's probably going to do it first. You should just do it now. And the most powerful decision you can make is launching your business with Shopify. Shopify delivers a complete toolkit for selling wherever your customers are, online or face-to-face at markets and pop-ups. You manage everything from one central hub. No switching platforms, no painful migrations, just seamless growth. You're joining millions of entrepreneurs who have already taken this leap, from recognizable brands to people who are exactly where you are just months ago, including us. Our first launch with Shopify was for Grandpa Mango's art studio, and it was basically our first small business experience, and Shopify made it so beginner friendly. So much so that we do have something that's coming out in maybe like a few weeks, hopefully. But we're really excited to share that we're working with Shopify again for it. Your future is waiting. Make 2026 the year that you claim it. In 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/rotten. Go to shopify.com/rotten. That's shopify.com/rotten. Hear the sound of your first sale this new year with Shopify by your side. A very strong argument could be made that one of the most disturbing ways to start a book is you flip open the page and the main character is talking in depth about how she watches JFK's assassination footage over and over and watches the part where Jackie Kennedy is having the worst day of her life, scrambling to pick up the pieces of her husband, and how the main character thinks about this every day in order to reach the pinnacle of pleasure. Like, that would be a really good argument if you told me that is the worst way to start a book. I would not argue with you. That's precisely how the Japanese manga Applicant for Death starts. Main girl spends multiple pages describing how much she likes the idea of basically being murdered. At one point, another woman appears. I don't know who this woman is, but she starts rehearsing how it will be done. And the main girl reaches the point of sheer happiness that none of us could probably relate to. And eventually she is shot, but she's still alive. And she is playing with her brain matter while the other woman is playing with other things, and she reaches her destination before finally arriving to the point of no return: death. However, that is where the video ends and the manga cuts to a guy watching the computer screen. He's getting off on this. And the female executioner tells the audience, and she's breaking the fourth wall mid-murder: "We only sell the rest of the footage to people who can keep quiet and pay enough. We'll check up on you. Even if you order, we'll just send you a generic video. This video is not for sale to the general public."
Wait, I'm so sorry. We're still in the manga right
Yeah.
now? So in the manga, a guy is watching this girl doing all of this on his computer screen. And
Yes.
in his computer screen, they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Wow.
And the guy behind the computer screen is getting frustrated because he wants to see the rest of the video. But the female executioner continues, "Depending on the results of our investigation, we may give it to other people free of charge." She continues that the people in the video are not leaving this world because of illness or pain or debt. They're doing it for pleasure, for desire. She says, "We can give you the experience you long for. I'm waiting for your call." And the guy starts fantasizing about it. And it somehow, his sister gets involved, who they start having relations. And then eventually he calls the executioner to come and kill him. And he just, the whole setup is he wants his sister to watch him die. And he's going to have intimate relations with the female executioner. And right as he's reaching that point, his sister, who is on standby with a giant sword, is going to cut his head off. And this manga and the rules of human anatomy and the limitations of modern medicine do not apply, because once his head is cut off, he's still alive. So he's like watching his body still finish relations with this female executioner. And then his sister decides that she's going to have relations with his body. And the female executioner is now holding the sword and then kills his sister. And so now she places the brother's head and the sister's head next to each other, apart from their bodies, and their bodies are still doing things, and the heads are making out. This is like a 40-page manga. I didn't know so much could happen in 40 pages. It started progressing into more and more alarming territory, and to my amazement, it never ceased to just stop being disturbing. This was translated into English. This was also translated into Vietnamese. And we know this because there is an online content forum that primarily focuses on posting brutal sexual content. And it had posted, "Applicant for Death. The manga gets translated from Japanese into Vietnamese." And the poster writes, "Translated per the request of Mr. Dat, D-A-T, beheading. The internet will soon uncover that Mr. Dat Beheading is the office man in the Vietnamese butcher videos, the one who was killed." So he specifically asked for this Japanese manga to be translated into Vietnamese.
Okay. Do we know if it's real? That was a real thing before this whole thing blew up. I see. So people went to the backlog and found this history.
He has an extensive history we're going to get into. And I think a lot of that begs this big question in this case that I don't necessarily think is a question, but a lot of people have posed it, which is, what exactly are we allowed to give consent to? What if someone wants to remove their leg in a safe manner? There is a real condition called BID. It's where someone with healthy limbs feels a profound feeling and belief that they need to amputate, typically a leg or both legs or perhaps an arm, in order to feel whole. They feel that these limbs are healthy, yes, but they're foreign. And every second that they live with this foreign limb, it drives them insane. But you can't just amputate your leg in the kitchen and hope for the best, which is where the debate comes in. How much are we allowed to have control over our own bodies? How much are we allowed to go to a doctor and say, can you please cut off my leg? Can you consent to that? Can the doctor do it? Do the rules apply? But the doctor is not supposed to cause harm, and objectively, they could argue that this would be causing harm to your life, but you could argue, no, in fact, having this leg is causing harm to my life. There's a lot of debate on this. I mean, it's a very rare condition, so the debate is not extensive. I will say some really messed up people have extended this debate to include transgender community members. I don't think that applies. For this, it's specifically, there is a huge argument of, well, if you lose a leg and you choose to amputate your leg, then you are now viable for disability checks. Now the taxpayers are paying for something that you have to live with for the rest of your life, and you have to continue getting probably in-house care for an extended period of time. So there's like all this debate along with that. There's just a lot in that. It's completely separate from any other debate. It's just that. How much can you be in control of your own body, and to what extent? And then how can you say it stops there? What if you take it a step further? What if you just don't even want your leg to be gone? You want someone to eat it, and you consent to it, and you find someone who also consents to eating it. Is that a crime? What if in a hypothetical world, there are no quote unquote victims? You sign a waiver that you will never sign up for disability checks. You sign a waiver that you will never ask the government or the community members for assistance. And you consent that no one will ever see this footage. No one will ever know what happens. You are privately in your own personal home. You cut off a piece of your thigh and you give it to your beloved significant other for them to consume for dinner. Is there a crime that is committed? Yes or no? Because is there a victim? Can you have a victimless crime? That is the whole debate, and we can probably go on for the next 24, 48 hours, the next 5 business days, and I don't know if everyone is going to come to an agreement. There is a post on an online forum, though, where you can ask people to solve your life's biggest problems. The post reads, how long does it take to fatten a long pig? Months? Years? I'm interested in fattening a long pig, right now 125 pounds to eat. How much should I fatten her for the best eating? And what do I use to fatten her? I didn't know this, but apparently some Europeans call humans long pigs because we are longer than a pig, but we apparently taste like pork. Humans. That post was on the now defunct Cannibal Cafe forum, which I'm sure if you've been interested in any sort of true crime cases for a while, you know about the very infamous Cannibal Cafe case of the German cannibal who murdered and killed his victim to be eaten. I mean, this is a forum where half the people want to be eaten and the other half are very, very hungry. Another post reads, anyone need a blonde girl for the main course dish to eat? See my email and write. I will show you my delicious meat. Another one rants about how men just aren't cannibals anymore. The post reads, looks like these aren't real cannibals on here. The kind of cannibal that would actually go for a hunt for a female captive to capture and prepare and roast and eventually eat. Probably some male cannibal wannabes on here, but they're held down by the leashes of their wives and kids and girlfriends. The website Cannibal Cafe is now down after, like I said, the very famous German cannibal murdered and cannibalized his victim in 2001. That's where they met. But one would have to assume that this has to be a very small portion of the population that's interested in this. But it's a lot more than you would think. One post on Reddit reads, I'm a girl with cannibalism fetish. Ask me anything. The top comment is, so is it you eating other humans or being eaten by other humans or both? She responds, good question. It's primarily me eating other people. The idea of other people eating me is pretty unsettling. Or I'll oftentimes fantasize about feeding my boyfriend to other people, and occasionally it'll be me cutting off his limbs and forcing him to eat his own limbs. God damn it, he's probably gonna read all of this. On a separate Reddit thread, Someone writes, I get the idea of someone wanting to eat human flesh as a specialized interest, like a fantasy, imagination. I mean, I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but I get it. Quote, I understand the appeal. Like, I don't like it, but I get where it's coming from, just like any other crazy thing, okay? So anyway, I made a post about cannibalism some time ago. I deleted it, but I got a DM from a really weird guy, and he somehow assumed that I had a cannibalism fetish from the post, which I don't have. And he said to me something like, he's so unlucky because none of the women he meets likes cannibalism, and he would be willing to travel to me to be cooked in an oven and be eaten by me. He even described how he wants to be served and what foods he wants to be paired with. He said that he wants to be a human pig and cooked like a pig. He eventually started sending me pictures. I didn't even want to look at all of them because I was disgusted. Anyway, is that not fucking weird? I just don't get what could be the possible motivation or appeal of being eaten. That is a post on Reddit. One response puts it pretty simply. It's just about being predator and prey. That's it. But that doesn't stop people from looking into this Vietnamese butcher case. Like I said, the Facebook group called OSINT and Cyber Investigations in Vietnam, they kickstart this entire investigation. And the only other clear indicator in these videos that made public was that it was most likely filmed in Vietnam. The language being spoken is Vietnamese between the victim and the butcher. And they take it upon themselves, this Facebook group, to investigate. At this point, the police are not investigating. Nobody is except OSINT. And they're the ones that released this 100-page document into the whole world that's translated into English. So the first order of business is finding who the victim is. That's probably easier because somebody is gone. That means there must be others who are looking for that person, posting missing persons flyers. It's harder to find a killer. It's easier to find a missing loved one.
His face is out there, right?
Yeah, that's the logic. So OSINT starts looking into forums in Vietnam that have to do with wanting to be consumed, wanting to be killed. Yes, they went through the missing persons thing. They didn't find him. No one was actively searching for him. So they start going into these beheading forums with extreme interest. And in one of them, they find someone that looks like the victim. And he gives his phone number. And using that phone number, they're able to find different accounts on different platforms. And one even lists his birthday as March 10th, 1989.
Whoa.
So now we know that this victim is 36 years old, which tracks with his appearance in the videos. And all of his accounts have some variation of the username DAT, DAT, and beheading. And out of all the websites that we've talked about in this episode, Motherless is probably one of the worst ones. You can't even link Motherless on Reddit. It's banned. It's not just a shitty place to go. There's speculation that because of the sheer amount of illegal content that was allegedly posted on there, that the FBI actually uses it as a honeypot, meaning the feds are most likely monitoring it, and anyone who visits too often and searching the very specific videos are potentially being tracked by the feds. It has been uncovered that the victim had a Motherless account where he would share a bunch of photos and videos that revolve around the themes of cannibalism and being beheaded. AI generated clips of hooded masked men tying up women and using sharp objects on them to eat them. And from there, the online detectives just continue to dig and they find out the victim's full name is Wen Xuan Dat. So Dat is DAT. So it's not like in English where it's like that beheading, but instead of THAT, you use DAT. It's just part of his name.
Wow.
But Wen is what we're going to call him. Wen goes on to create multiple different accounts to join forums to talk about this final fantasy where he is going to be beheaded. A lot of his accounts were created back in 2019, so this is like a 6-year endeavor that he's been on. One of his accounts just read, I love beheading. I also want to lose my head with an axe or a sword. And there's also indications that this probably was way before 2019 his interest started. There was this online group called Girls Beheading Lover, and they post in 2018, anybody like role-playing about beheadings? Inbox me, only girls. Wen responds, can you connect with me? Are you a male or a female? I'm a male, but I want to have my head beheaded by a female executioner. Wen responds to another post in 2022 that reads, is anyone in Hanoi interested in the topic of beheading? Looking to chat with someone about it. If interested, please inbox me. Another person responds to that post, I want to die, seriously. Wen responds, are you for real? If so, please inbox me to discuss. It would not be an over-exaggeration to say that Wen seems obsessed with the idea of being beheaded and killed. He even requested the applicant for death manga to be translated into Vietnamese Vietnamese. I mean, this manga is very interesting because it could more or less, the fantasy that the victim ultimately settles on feels very reminiscent of this manga. Even having the head pulled and then placed to watch the rest of the body kind of mirrors the manga.
By the way, you say one of the person online posted say, I wanted to die, and he responded, oh, please email me.
Yeah.
So he's interested in...
No, he's only interested in being the victim, but he likes to connect with people with like minds so that they can talk about their fantasy together. And a lot of the reason that this case gained traction in uncovering details was friends of Wen, online friends who had similar interest, would share messages that they had with Wen. Like one from 2023, his post reads, offering my head, but no one is taking it. And then the next year in 2024, he posts again, offering my head, waiting for someone to take it. So for years, since at least 2019, he has been begging for someone to partake in this final fantasy of his. But it's not until January of 2025, this year, he gets someone, last year, he gets someone to do what he's hoping for. Wen posts on Facebook, 3 hours left until the execution. So yes, the internet, the netizens, they find the victim, but that's not enough. They need to find the killer because the killer could be finding their next victim. They could be doing this for money. There could be multiple people who have gone missing that nobody is looking for that they have done the same exact thing to. So even though they found Wen, they still have no idea who the masked man, who the butcher is, and they need to comb through all the evidence. He's wearing a blue face mask in this photo where he's holding up Wen's head, severed head in the mirror. And you can see his eyes, eyebrows, his forehead that's showing. He looks middle-aged. He clearly has a receding hairline. He has distinct scars on his eyebrow area that netizens have pinpointed, analyzed, stared at, studied. He's also shirtless. You see that a good chunk of his torso, he has a very stocky build. He's got a birthmark that goes near his armpit on one arm. Then on the other arm, you have that tattoo, the distinctive, that day 139. That's it. How are they going to find the butcher with just that? And they need to find him quick because it seems like the butcher has taken over Wen's account on Facebook and is looking for new victims, is now messaging Wen's friends who have shared interests, asking them questions about their fantasies.
Oh, so now he's active.
He's active.
On Wen's account?
Yes.
Huh.
And other people are coming forward saying, hey, yes, Wen had this fantasy, but he was not doing well. Like he was clearly a victim. One alleged friend of Wen's, we're going to call them friend number 1, posts a screenshot of messages that they had with Wen before his passing. And Wen is messaging, not only am I ugly, but I'm also full of diseases. I can't afford to live freely like a normal person. I have to depend on my parents for the rest of my life. I mean, I'm completely useless. What other choice do I have? I truly am a prisoner of my own fate. If it wasn't because of God, I would have met the end already. I just want to meet someone that once we become close enough, they would just kill me. Wen writes again, I want to meet someone who can f me and then kill me right after. Which has netizens thinking, at this point, the butcher should have just helped Wen. Instead of killing him, he should have just gotten him help. But the most interesting thing to come out of this, the most valuable piece of information, is people start messaging this person asking for more information about Wen. Like, if you were that close with Wen, can you tell us anything else? And they state, well, Wen was pretty normal. We only met once, maybe for like 30 minutes. Really? When was that you guys met? Was it a long time ago? He just was spending the 30 minutes to talk about how he liked having group activities with other men. He showed me a video of himself performing oral on a man. I mean, I can say this though, Wen's fetish for wanting to be beheaded is very real. But the most valuable piece of information is this anonymous friend tells the OSINT, the online investigators, I know the name of the butcher. He goes by the name Chung.
Wow.
C-H-U-N-G. And as the investigators are getting closer to figuring out who the butcher is, a post pops up on their Facebook group. I am the executioner. Who can catch me? Then another post from a different account. So now this is a different account and it's a picture of someone's meal and it appears to be a plate of meat and some soup and some noodles. Come on, it's just a few pieces of human meat. It's unclear if this is real human meat. It's unclear if anything, but within an hour of this picture going up, it gets taken down. So is this really the butcher? Is the butcher scared? The netizens, are they getting closer to figuring out who the butcher is so they're freaking out? So in the final installment of the snuff film trilogy titled Butchering, it looks like it's being filmed in a kitchen. And on one side, you have half of a plastic water bottle. It's called La Vie. So at this point, the online netizens are like, we know for sure this is happening in Vietnam. These are not Vietnamese like diaspora in other parts of the world, because yes, in the video they're speaking Vietnamese, but that doesn't mean that they have to live in Vietnam. I can speak Korean, but I'm in the United States. But this water bottle is specifically sold in Vietnam. So they're like, okay, this is happening in Vietnam. But also on top of that, they find like these very mundane little trivial, inconsequential pieces of items. There's a bottle of dish soap. The netizens have discovered that this is really only sold in the northern area of Vietnam. How do they know this? Because the dish soap is Chinese. It's like a very cheap Chinese brand, and the northern part of Vietnam borders China. So they really only sell this in that area. Because they have Vietnamese dish soap in all the other areas.
Yeah.
So this is like very easy to bring across the border, or like people will go up there and buy it and then bring it back. So they're like, this is definitely only on the northern part of Vietnam. So people start pinpointing it down that way. Okay, so not only is it just Vietnam, it's on the northern part of Vietnam. And then we've got all of these things in the kitchen. So the kitchen doors are this weird avocado green color that's very specific and unique. I mean, there's got to be something. So as they're hunting that down, another YouTube channel pops up. They have been investigating this diligently from the very beginning. They're called Ketomo, which translates to the curious one. They went as far to try and reconstruct the scene of the crime. But because with the suspected homicide taking place in January of this year, with videos being circulated later in July, and then just radio silence, a lot of people thought that this was almost like an urban legend. It's just gonna go down as one of those internet things we never get the answer to. But he somehow is able to track, and he says, I think I know who the butcher is. And he posts a picture of who he believes is the butcher. So this is a picture that he got on someone's personal Facebook account, and he photoshopped a mask on and then compared it to the butchering video, and it looks like the same person. It looks like the same person, but this is where it's weird. It looks like the same person, does not feel like the same person. Clearly, in the one that was from his personal Facebook page, his face is relaxed. He looks like a happy guy. In the other one, he looks like a killer, but you can see the facial features. They're all very similar. The smile lines, the eye shape, the eyebrows, the scar above his eyebrow, everything feels exactly the same. Now, the curious one, the YouTuber, releases a statement that he's going to be withdrawing from this investigation, and that the perpetrator is in a high position of power. And just know that if anything happens to this YouTuber, every single piece of information that he's dug up, he's got like a kill switch, if you will. It's gonna go public.
Wait, so he dropped this high power individual's identity basically?
Just photo.
But with that photo, you can find out who he is, wouldn't it?
Yes. More importantly, he drops a screenshot of the individual's social media account, and he blurs out the name, but people are very easily able to unblur it. And the username is Tan Chung 11111. Chung. People start cross-referencing that username with all the different social media platforms, and they find a lot. The two of them, Wen and the butcher, seem to have crossed paths on a gay group chat called Likes Beheading. Wen is really active in the chat, saying things like, I want to be beheaded, I volunteer to be beheaded. There's additionally a supposed leak message thread between Wen and a friend of his, where Wen sends them a picture of his head on a chopping board. He's alive. And he writes, I'm ready, waiting for the time. His friend responds, who's gonna do it? Chung? No, another person. Why don't you just let Chung do it? Waiting around for Chung is difficult. What do you mean? He agreed, but he keeps pushing and delaying the time. The potential suspect, the butcher, their social media history is also pretty extensive. It's also very interesting to see how somebody's interests and tastes evolve over time. It starts off with scatology, which is a pretty high entrance for specialized interests, but there's a post that reads, anyone here eat shit in the game? You want to be the shit eater or the shit maker? To which the suspected butcher responds, the shit maker. In 2022, the suspected butcher posts pictures on a forum showing dismembered pieces of a body. He claims that this is just like a scary themed horror post. This is just to get everyone to toughen up through the usage of gore, but it's not real. However, it is theorized now that this could very well be a victim before Wen. He also continues to post pictures of what appears to be men's private parts that have been taken off the body. One of them is delicately spray painted in gold. It's unclear if this is like an artistic piece that he found, if he made it, or if this is a real human body part that he's used to create this. He likes a ton of other posts that have to do with eating meat, and specifically the purchasing of dismembered male private parts. He's buying them, he's selling them, and I don't know.
Like dark web?
No, just like on Twitter, on these forums. I mean, people will write things like, I need to castrate myself. I need money. How much for all my privates? And he'll say, DM me. I want it all. I want to eat it so bad. Now, I don't know if this is some sort of role play that's happening on social media. If people are just engaging in this stranger to stranger fake fantasy land, or if he truly is purchasing a lot of these male body parts. I wouldn't be surprised, judging by the fact that somebody is dead and somebody was killed on camera, but it's just very strange how there is a large community of people doing this. It's not even just one person, and it's not even on the down low. These are just out and about on regular, publicly accessible forums talking about how they want to purchase sometimes 1 ball, 2 balls, the whole set. He also talks about how he wants hands and feet stewed with bamboo shoots and a male body part stewed with lemongrass and chili. And the way that he writes about it, it seems like he's talking about food that he's eaten before. It doesn't seem like, oh, let me use my imagination. I think this would taste good. The answers and responses to these inappropriate messages online seem very firm and confident, as if this is his favorite dish. Other times, he just gets straight to the point. There will be people posting inappropriate videos, and I didn't click on them because I was scared of the links, but they seem to be inappropriate videos. I don't know if there's cannibalism in the topic of the video, but they seem like your run-of-the-mill, inappropriate, X-rated videos, and he's just DMing these creators, I want to kill you so bad. I really want to kill you. So at this point, people start digging and digging and digging, and they find other accounts that are related to Tan Chung, and they realize that Tan Chung is a young kid, a kid in his 20s, a kid to wealthy parents. There's a picture of him sitting on a sidewalk in front of his family-owned red Mercedes, but more importantly, this kid is wearing a distinct athletic tracksuit with yellow stripes going down the sides, exactly like the one from the rehearsal video.
Wait, but in the rehearsal video, it wasn't a young kid, was it?
I mean, the whole face is covered up, but I will say that they seem a lot more stocky in the video, but maybe this young kid just edits his photos. But the frustrating part is, in the other 2 videos, the execution and the butchering, you can clearly see that this is a middle-aged man. This kid is clearly not middle-aged, so how can they be the same person? But if it's not the same person, how are there so many similarities? Someone drives by the house that Tan Chung apparently lives in, this 23-year-old, and they take pictures as they're driving by. And right outside, you see a pair of slippers outside the front door. The butcher is seen in the video wearing the exact same slippers. I mean, maybe it's a very common pair of slippers, but still, all of this is just a growing list of coincidences, but still, it doesn't answer the fact that there's no way that a 20-something-year-old is also a middle-aged man at the same time. OSINT does more digging, and they notice that with every platform that Tan Chung is on, there is another account that is always closely associated. And it's not like they're always interacting, but they're always following each other on every platform. Doan Seng. They go to Doan Seng's account. This is a middle-aged man with a scar above his eyebrow and a big birthmark on his arm. Doan Seng resembles the butcher, at least to the best of netizen knowledge. So how is it that everyone originally thought that Tan Chung was the butcher? Are there 2 butchers? Is this like a whole operation with multiple people involved? If you go to Tan Chung's profile, you'll see that he was born September 13th, 2002. Everywhere else in the world, they do day, month, year.
That's his dad.
Yes. 13th of September would be 139. The tattoo on the butcher is that day. 23-year-old Tan Chung is not the butcher. His dad is. And his dad has been using his son's name to create online profiles to join these group chats where they fantasize about killing and eating people. It's the dad.
Wow. So, but is the son a part of it? Does he...
The son does not appear to be a part of it in any way. It seems like he found out after the fact. And after the fact, it seems he's on his dad's side. Whether he believes that his dad is innocent, whether he believes, well, the victim asked for it and my dad was just doing what he asked for. Why is that such a big deal? I don't know what his mentality is, but it does seem from very limited evidence on social media of him reposting like memes that he is in some support of his dad.
So the dad's wearing his son's clothes?
It seems like they share clothes.
Huh.
And the dad is not just a random person. He is the former deputy head of Market Management Department number 4, which sounds like he works at a supermarket, but it's not. This is basically a huge government entity that enforces and inspects all of the commercial activities in a local area. It's a business department of an entire community. This man has a wife. He has 2 sons. I wouldn't go as far to say that he's a great dad, even if I didn't know of this crime. If he has a cup in his kitchen that reads "Best Dad in the World," that cup is a liar. He seems normal, but he's just... Like on his personal account, he posts a picture of abalone porridge. But the piece of abalone, which... If you guys know abalone, it's like a shellfish where it's really good for you. It has a lot of health benefits, but it's like maybe 2 fingers and it's slimy. It's like a giant mussel, like a clam, like a giant clam, a giant mussel, but definitely thicker and chewier in texture, but just look-wise if you haven't seen what abalone looks like. However, like a mussel, all the sides are flat. They're smooth, they're flat, and then the edges, they have like the mussel texture with like the ridges that come up and get a little chewy. But this one, the side is not flat. It has an opening that is very reminiscent of a female body part. Now, some people have mentioned that abalone in general does resemble female body parts, but this, when you see it, this doesn't resemble an abalone. Perhaps abalone looks different in different parts of the world. Perhaps this is a faulty abalone or someone who messed with an abalone to make it resemble a detached female body part. I don't know. I saw the picture of it.
So he posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
And he titled it abalone porridge, or he just posted that photo?
Just posted the photo. And it's, I don't know. I can't imagine that he would post it if it was a crime. But then again, I don't know. On his own personal account, he was posting the gold male private parts that looked somewhat artistic.
Right. So, okay. So he's pretty blatant about this.
Yes. He's also just not a family guy. He posted a whole biography of a Japanese adult actress talking about her childhood and then how she gets recruited into the industry, just everything about her. This is a dad and a man who works for the government. He's actually retired earlier last year in 2025, but it was that he was still working in January. And this is very important. Once people find out that it's the dad, they start going through all of his personal accounts, and he has a ton of those like old people videos where they're just...
So far, everything you said is like real-time discovery in the last few months by the internet.
Yes. The police are not investigating.
Until like everything was crystal clear, the police came in.
Mm-hmm. Not even was it just crystal clear. It became so crystal clear, and this man is in a government position working as the deputy head of market management. There was outrage. I feel like the arrest only happened because people were able to figure out this is a government official, and people were super pissed about it. Had it not been, I don't know if an arrest would have been made.
Because you were saying like when this came out, there was a lot of suppressing, right? Like nobody can even talk about it publicly. Yeah. Wow.
And then I think that some people, I will say that there were a lot of ignorant non-Vietnamese people who probably added to it, which I think a lot of people were suppressed and could not talk about it. And then I think the people that did want to talk about it, a lot of Westerners would be like, this is why you can't go to Vietnam. Because, I don't know, we're dumb over here.
I see.
So then it just made it all worse. It's like, I don't know. Have you ever read the news in America? We're not doing so hot. Maybe we should worry about our own problems before saying stuff like that. But you get the idea. Now, the rehearsal video, it was filmed in some sort of office. And this is very important because all of this, people were able to cross-check, and they realized that all the butchering videos happened inside of government buildings, the offices in which he was working, the rehearsal video, even the misalignment of the cabinets. It's in the background of one of his own personal photos that he was filming outside of the office. The kitchen is part of a government building. The green avocado shutter doors, the kitchen tiles with the white and the blue little clover designs, that is all a government building. The bathroom is a government building.
How does he have no fear of, he posts these on Facebook and then he's doing this whole operation inside?
I guess he thought that these photos and videos would only circulate on Telegram, which at that point, if your coworker is on Telegram purchasing these videos, then maybe you just find a friend in the game. You don't find someone who's going to rat you out.
It's impossible for him to be this ballsy if this is his first time
exactly
doing something like this.
What makes it even worse is it was timed to perfection. It seems that Wen is murdered near the end of January 25th, 2025 to be exact. That would be the perfect window of opportunity because Lunar New Year is January 26th, 2025. There is a 7 to 10 day holiday in Vietnam and a lot of Asia where nobody goes into the office. The office would have been completely deserted.
Wow.
So with that, November 28th, an arrest is finally made. The believed butcher Do-an Sang is arrested. Authorities allegedly find bone fragments in pipes and drains, 3 teeth found under the sink. But more importantly, he just confesses. He ends up admitting to what he's done. He manages to be a victim blamer the entire way through. He states that he met Wen online and Wen is the one that gets him wrapped up in all this dark stuff. That Wen repeatedly gets him introduced into beheadings and all of this dark interest of extreme groups, which he naturally did not want. He said he was repulsed by it, but Wen kept asking him. And finally, it's Wen that convinces him to commit these atrocious acts against Wen. But after Wen, he does the very normal, common sense thing of separating the body into bones, flesh, and organs. He boils the parts to help with decomposition and odor. For the bones, he smashes them, pulverizes them, and for the flesh, he places them into 10 plastic bags and then feeds them to wild dogs, stray dogs. As for the meat cleavers that he used, he got rid of them. And he still tries to play this all off as if this is his first time and he was just convinced into doing this by Wen.
Wow.
And as for Wen, netizens were able to find which village he was from and they called the village head. They do confirm that there was a guy with the same name, same age. A few years ago, his dad passed away and he ran away from the village. His mom has really severe mental health struggles, and that seems to be why no one has been looking for him. And it seems like that is where we are with the Vietnamese butcher case. I think it's crazy that none of this would have been discovered without netizens. I think the fact that this was just posted on not even like the dark web is so unsettling. But what are your thoughts? Have you guys heard of this case before?
Yeah.
Let me know in the comments.
I don't know. Do you think they're going to find out more histories of him, or this is probably the only case they're going to be?
I would not doubt that there are more victims. I don't think they're going to look. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.